It is voting time in the United States of Gitmo Nation. It is, of course, time to put everything into whatever we can to pile on everything to get you to vote for Democrats. But it is also this time of year when we have yet another report from the IPCC, Intergovernmental Planetary Climate Change Panel of Starfleet Command. And, of course, we need to then ramp up all that we can about climate change. Some very interesting pieces came across the telescreen. The first one is directly related to the vote on Tuesday. Now, often we hear we hear certainly Democrats blast the Republicans for being financed by
Koch brothers,
because they're buying the whole country. The Koch brothers just pay everybody to deny science and climate. And unfortunately,
so simple.
We have never seen any of that money. Tom Steyer,
we haven't seen a nickel of it.
Tom Steyer, and we talked about him a while ago, has promised to be the yin to the Koch brothers' yang. He is a billionaire, American hedge fund manager, but also a philanthropist and environmentalist. He is, of course, formerly of Goldman Sachs, so you know that he must be a Democrat. And in addition to that, he has a big hedge fund. So this is the guy, remember, he said, hey, I'm going to put up $1 billion if everybody else puts up $1 billion, and I guess they got $2 billion.
I was going to be all in on that.
Yeah. I tried. And here he is, and I'll give him this. He's very good at speaking. I cannot catch him on reading a prompter in this particular piece, but he is now doing his job, but I think it's a Hail Mary at least, doing his job of saying, if you don't want to die from climate change, vote Democrat.
20 months ago, we set out to change the American political dialogue around energy and climate change. We've worked on a number of campaigns across the country, raising awareness about the dangers of the Keystone XL pipeline, winning important victories in places like Virginia and Massachusetts, and setting the stage to put climate change on the ballot in 7 key states this November. Now, as we enter the last few weeks leading up to Election Day, our efforts are ramping up in earnest. We're registering voters and opening field offices in states where there's a clear choice between the candidates. And we've already seen a groundswell of support from voters across the country. We've heard from so many of you who are feeling the impacts of climate change firsthand. Together, we're sending an unmistakable message to Washington. Climate change is not just an important issue, it's the issue.
Oh, okay.
And we need leaders who will take it seriously. In Florida, I've met canvassers who won't sit idly by as sea levels rise.
Love the music, by the way. Doesn't that just inspire you? Like morning has broken. There's a new dawn.
I'm reaching for my checkbook.
In over a dozen field offices across the state, they're holding their elected officials accountable for denying science. Iowans are winning this fight as they always have, on the ground. They and thousands of others like them across the nation have joined you in pledging their voices and their vote. Every one of you owns a piece of this movie.
Oh.
The die is cast. We cannot go back now, only forward. We said at the outset that climate issues constitute the greatest challenge for our generation of Americans. The next few years present our greatest opportunity for meaningful action to meet that challenge. Your efforts between now and November 4th will be absolutely critical.
That's right.
To ensure that our leaders give this issue the attention.
Yes, leaders.
With your help, I know we can get there. Text NextGen to 909.
Blah, 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 blah. All right. So there you go. There is the money. And I believe that he was largely responsible for the climate march in New York City. Funded a lot of that, yeah. John Coleman was on CNN this morning.
John Coleman, who is that?
John Coleman, the founder of the Weather Channel. We have played.
Right. Coleman, he's the biggest climate denier there is.
And I kind of like this show on CNN. It's called. Now I don't know what it's called. It's kind of a meta show about media, which I like because everybody's
doing that nowadays. By the way,
right?
It started with PBS and On the Media,
yes,
and then it's NPR crop up everywhere.
That's NPR on the media.
Yeah, I'm sorry, NPR.
So this guy, I forget his name. Reliable Sources is the name of the show, and it's great because you get to deconstruct the deconstruction show, which is kind of funnier. So John Coleman is what happened. Here's the prelude. John Coleman has consistently said climate change is bogus. Here is the real. He's a scientist, by the way. Here's the real science. It's not true. It's a scam. It's a hoax. And the Weather Channel has now distanced themselves from him.
From their own founder.
Yeah, they said he has nothing to do with the weather. Because, of course, the Weather Channel did. Now, wait a minute. Did not the Weather Channel get bought by the Rothschilds a while ago? Remember that?
They got bought by somebody. Let me look it up.
Rothschild.
I don't think it was the Rothschilds.
Yeah, I think it was. Weather Central, I'm sorry. But that's Weather Central. I think that is Weather Channel. Hold on.
I don't know.
Private company, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so they provide...
Who owns the Weather Channel?
Sister company to the Weather Channel.
The Weather Company is owned by a consortium made out of NBC Universal. Hello, MSNBC.
How you doing
and
over there?
Private equity firms.
Nice.
The Blackstone Group and Bain Capital.
Yeah, Rothschild. Weather Services International is the owner, and that is a sister. Yeah, okay. So, yes, a bunch of people.
The Weather Channel is part of the Weather Channel companies.
Let me put it in these terms for you.
GWCC.
If you are able to report the weather, not necessarily predict the weather, but if you can report the weather and get people ready for, I don't know, things like climate change and complete destruction of the planet, you may find that some of your other portfolio companies benefit. What do you think? Is that a fair assessment?
I would say that's the rationale for the whole thing in some way, shape, or form.
Makes
but
sense.
Everything in the United States of America, everything is based on that simple premise.
Yes. Predict the news and the future, win valuable prizes. John Coleman he gets this. Well, you'll hear what he does here. And then if you're still interested after the John Coleman bit, which I think he will be, because he's just another fabulous appearance by this guy, because he's a broadcaster and he knows how to cut through it. But he's also a scientist, which of course is discredited in the whole intro. But I cut all that off. And after that, what's his name? David Kenny, who is the CEO of Weather Services International, who own the Weather Channel, comes in for a slight rebuttal.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you want to say?
I don't see where Weather Services International has anything to do with the Weather Channel companies.
I see it here on the Wikipedia. Weather Central owner, Weather Services International, and they are a sister company to the Weather Channel. Maybe I'm wrong, doesn't matter.
It's a sister company.
Yeah, that's under the same umbrella.
Within the umbrella is the Weather Channel company.
Weather Central, yes.
Owned by
Weather Central
consortium of NBC Universal and private equity.
Yes.
So they're a sister.
Okay. Yeah. Owned by the same company.
Okay.
Are we good?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay. They don't own the Weather Channel.
No. Yeah, I'm sorry. Weather Central LP.
It's as if
it's a hedge fund that owns them. Weather Central
Willow
LP.
owned the No Agenda show.
She does. And you better shut up and listen to what she has to say, which means listen to John Coleman.
It's nice to be on CNN. Hello to all your viewers. I resent you calling me a denier. That is a word meant to put me down. I'm a skeptic about climate change, and I want to make it darn clear, Mr. Kenny's not a scientist. I am. He's the CEO of the Weather Channel now. I was the founder of the Weather Channel, not the co-founder.
They also they had the Chiron up, the whole lower third the whole time, co-founder, where he is the founder. So they discredited him, the intro. He's a denier. So, and did you?
This is on CNN
this morning, yeah.
And this is supposed to be one of those shows that deconstructs the media.
Yeah. And what's funny is I almost expected this guy in his opening thing to say, "Hello, CNN and all ships at sea." Didn't you almost hear him say that?
It's nice to be on CNN. Hello to all your viewers. I resent you calling me a denier. That is a word meant to put me down. I'm a skeptic about climate change, and I want to make it darn clear, Mr. Kenny's not a scientist. I am. He's the CEO of the Weather Channel now. I was the founder of the Weather Channel, not the co-founder.
And I'm glad you did, because I am addicted to the Weather Channel. I watch a lot of cable news.
Now, hold on just a minute. I'm not done. And CNN has taken a very strong position on global warming that it is a consensus. Well, there is no consensus in science. Science isn't a vote. Science is about facts.
Oh.
And if you get down to the hard, cold facts, there's no question about it. Climate change is not happening. There is no significant man-made global warming now. Oops. There hasn't been any in the past, and there's no reason to expect any in the future. There's a whole lot of baloney, and yes, it has become a big political point of the Democratic Party and part of their platform, and I regret it's become political instead of scientific. But the science is on my side.
I don't think we're going to come to a conclusion about the topic right here. What I do wonder, though, is when you see...
because you wouldn't allow it to happen on CNN. But I'm happy that I got on the air and got a chance to talk to your viewers. Hello, everybody.
Hey, hello, all ships at sea.
There is no global warming.
What I do wonder is when you see the government, when you see NASA...
Hey, the guy's saying one of the most explosive things you can say. And this dude's like, oh, I just wonder. And he's saying, there is no... Hello, world. There is no global warming. There is no climate change. Good on you, Goodman. I like this Coleman guy. This is good.
You see the government, when you see NASA, when you see other institutions say that 97% of climate scientists agree, do you think they're making it up? What I don't understand is...
here comes the answer to your question, John.
How you square that.
That's a manipulated figure, and let me explain it to you. The government puts out about $2.5 billion directly for climate research every year. It only gives that money to scientists who will produce scientific results that support the global warming hypothesis of the Democrat Party position. Woo-hoo! So they don't have any choice. If you're going to get the money, you got to support their position. Therefore, 97% of the scientific reports published support global warming. Why? Because those are the ones the government pays for, and that's where the money is. It's real simple, but that doesn't mean it's right. That doesn't make it true.
Hey, you crazy old kook! What do you think you are, a scientist? How good is this guy?
Well, he's been doing this long enough. His first videos were a number of years ago. Yeah. I think even before we started our show.
Yeah.
And they're still around if you search on the Google. Mm-hmm. And I think he's been to so many events and he's presented this position so much that he has already taken all the heat he can take, and he has all the counter arguments, because if he was ever caught off flat-footed, I'm sure he worked out a better solution. So he can't be. He's one of those guys you would not debate against.
Would you like to hear a little more of him?
Oh, I love this guy.
That only makes it bought and paid for. The money goes in circles.
I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to try to refute you on the facts.
That's the truth.
I'll simply say that the vast majority...
Please stand back from this issue and let the two sides be on the air. There are 31,000 scientists who have signed a petition that says it is not valid, that my position is correct, and we'll keep battling, and we will prevail in time, but I don't know if we'll do it in my lifetime.
I do hope viewers are Googling the data you're sharing, because I do think it's skewed. I have to say that. I want to ask you about the weather.
No, it's not true, and I hope you will go to the websites that present the papers that show that none of this alarmism about ice and heat waves and drought, none of it is happening.
Is the Weather Channel part of the conspiracy?
Well, the Weather Channel has bought into it. As I say it, they've drunk the Kool-Aid. Yeah, well. But so has all the media. That's no big surprise.
Let me read to you what the channel said this week.
For a second.
Yeah. He screwed it up here, by the way. He screwed it up. I think
it should be a mistake. The mistake was that the Weather Channel is now owned by NBC Universal, which owns MSNBC, which is a mouthpiece for the Democrat Party.
Well, he said two things wrong. First, he said there's no droughts happening. That is a mistake, and he should figure.
This is the way he said. No,
he didn't say it right.
He didn't say it right. What he meant was there's no droughts as a result of global warming.
Exactly.
And in fact, we had the testimony on our show at one of the congressional hearings where the world expert on drought says it's more likely to have more droughts with global cooling.
Yes.
And that information, of course, was ignored by the idiot from Rhode Island White House, who just, whatever you said, bull crap. And he's like a global warmist himself. And I still want to go. I personally, and if anybody's in the D.C. area, we can have a meetup. I want to go to Washington, D.C. I want to go into the bowels of the Congress and look in those papers of where all the investments are made and find out what White House owns.
Oh, you can only do that in the basement.
Yeah, you can't. They tried to put it online. They said, no. We can't have this online. But we'll keep the information in the basement.
Yes.
Anyway, onward.
Mr. D.C. Borat. Open up the door, Jim Dial, now.
I think I want you going there. The other thing he did wrong is he didn't have he said, go look for the websites. Come on, you got to give a website name. That was another mistake. It's
yes,
okay.
that's a big mistake.
It's okay.
After you appeared on Fox,
Weather Channel statement.
Well, let me read it to the viewers then. After you appeared on Fox, they did put out this statement distancing themselves from you. They said, Mr. Coleman does have a place in our company's history, and we appreciate the contributions that he made more than 30 years ago. However, we want to be clear, John Coleman is no longer affiliated with our company. How did you feel to see them disavow you in that way?
Well, no problem. I mean, that's all accurate. And the statement that's on their website, which they reissued this week, was written back in 2007. And that's a rather reasonable, warmist statement. It's not full of alarmism. It's not full of the sky is falling. It's a pretty reasonable statement. It's not the programming they put on the TV that's not reasonable. And when they put on their climate geeks, those aren't scientists. Those are nuts.
You sound like a man disappointed.
They never put on a real skeptical scientist. They don't give us any spot on their channel. That's too bad that they don't.
You sound like a man disappointed by the channel that you helped create.
Oh, I'm terribly disappointed. I created a channel to give people their weather, tell them what the weather is now and what it's going to be where they live and in their region, and keep them posted on the weather and serve a real purpose. And that channel has been totally distorted and become strange as it can be.
Well, John, thank you for being here this morning and sharing your views with us.
Click.
Well, I thank you for letting me on.
Gee, somehow they cut out something there. Click.
And the guy, whoever the host of this media deconstruction show is, made again kind of demeaned him by saying helped create.
Oh yeah, because he was the founder.
Yeah. He's the lone founder. He created it. Yeah. He's not the guy who was some loser that helped create.
Yeah, sad. Well, that's
all subtle propaganda. Very well done.
That's
for the people that are all in. They got the hook in their mouth. They're being dragged ashore so they can die of too much air.
Would you like to hear the short rebuttal from the president of the weather companies to this Coleman?
I don't know. Is it any good?
I think it's funny to hear him trying to struggle.
What do you want people to know about John Coleman and his involvement in the Weather Channel in the past?
What I want people to know is that the science is pretty clear about climate change. We've had this.
It's pretty clear. That's another. No, I'll agree with that. It's pretty clear. It's bogus.
Statement since 2007. Oh, yeah. We've been unwavering on it, and I think, as always, we cover the science.
Oh, yes.
I think some people were confused to hear a statement from somebody who was noted as a co-founder of the Weather Channel, which is true. We're grateful that he got it started 32 years ago, but he hasn't been with us in 31 years, so he's not really speaking for the Weather Channel in any way today. Our position is really clear. It's scientifically based, and we've been unwavering on it for quite some time now.
Are you concerned that he or others are using his title as co-founder in order to try to give attention to something that is misleading, that it's inaccurate?
Listen, I'm concerned whenever the discussion of climate change veers from the science. The science is really clear. And I don't like our brand being associated with something that's not scientifically based. I think we can all be proud of our resumes, but I would prefer people use the credentials they have today, not the credentials of 3 decades ago.
So that makes me wonder if you've reached out to him and suggested that he not be using the Weather Channel name.
I've tried to be in touch, but at the end of the day, people can, it's a free country. People can speak freely, and people can use their resumes, and other people put those titles on them. I actually don't think that's a fight worth having. What I care more about is that our viewers come to us, continue to trust us, continue to believe that we present to them a great understanding of the Earth and how it works based on science. Right. And I care that the scientists of the world continue to partner with us.
Do people ever say to you that climate change is good for business, good for the Weather Channel? Because it causes very scary storms that sure calls people to tune in?
Listen to that. The two douchebags.
Wow. This is astonishing, this guy.
Yeah,
this is a terrible show.
Yeah. That's why I like it.
Listen, at the end of the day, we never like to see a loss of life for a loss
of lice. We hate loss of lice.
Property. Safety is a really important mission. So, I don't think we ever take any joy in serious storms. Bullshit. It is true that there is more drought, more flood, more extreme weather as the climate evolves, and that actually saddens us. I don't think we ever view it as good for business.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. So sorry. We're so sorry.
He is a douchebag. Yeah. That's terrible.